Welcome to Gary's Hobby Studio. In this video I'm going to go over the Unifi Flex Mini 5-port gigabit switch. It's a very small, compact switch, and I'm going to go over some of its features, show you how it adopts and what all happens. So let's go ahead and get right to it. Okay, and as you can see here, this is the Unifi Flex Mini. It's a 5-port gigabit switch. Here's the 5 ports here. This can be powered one of two. You could power it either way. You could power it through the PoE in on this port right here, or you can power it with the USB-C power supply that comes with it if you order just a single unit. If you order multiple units, they don't come with it, because I saw that, because I had to order it from Ubiquity's site itself, because for some reason everybody else was charging like way more money. This thing's a $29 switch and it's going for like 50 bucks on Newegg and some other sites. So yeah, no, I'll buy it straight from the manufacturer, and with the 2 taxes I had to pay, one for the county and one for the state, which I don't know why, but that's a whole other subject I have to deal with later. Plus the shipping. This came out to be 40 bucks, so I saved about $10 plus whatever they would charge for shipping, unless they offer free shipping. So, but you could definitely power it by USB-C or PoE in. This is not a PoE switch, so these ports will not supply power to anything that requires power over Ethernet. And what you can do is that once you set this up, you can actually put these ports, including this one here, on specific VLANs, which I'm going to do, just to show you that you can actually segment the ports. So you could have this port going for security cameras, you can have this port going for your local network, you can have this one going for a guest network, and you can have this going for just video games. And this way it keeps everything separate, and the two don't, this way everything's not being slammed on the same port. So let's go ahead and get this plugged in. Here's the power supply comes with it. It looks almost like one that you would use for a phone. I wouldn't recommend it unless it supplies 5 volts at 1 amp, I believe. Yeah, it's 5 volts, 1 amp. I hate the way these cords get all tangled up. Okay. Alright, so it's now powered. Okay, and as you can see by this little LED light here that you may be able to see, yep, it's blinking. That means it's powering up. This is the one, I believe. Plug it into the PoE port, even though my switch is not PoE. Hey, we got a link light. Woohoo! Alright. So now that we have that connected, I'm going to switch over to this here. And when you set up your own Unifi controller software, as you can see on the screen, that you log into your account with your username and password that you set up. Mine runs on Debian 10. I've had no problems with it, and I like using Debian for that kind of stuff because I know it stays running better than Windows. Okay, so, and let's go to devices. Alright, hopefully this is done. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, okay, so here I'm going to switch the couple of these ports to some of my other VLANs that I have set up. So I'm going to set port 2 to Gary's IoT, the default values. settings. Any previous overrides will be lost upon saving. Okay, I'm not worried about that. Alright, so port 2 is now set to my IoT devices, and port 3, I'm going to set it to the Wi-Fi guest network. And don't worry, I'm going to remove it after that. I'm going to apply. Okay, so now that those two ports are done, and also I want to show real quick too, which I should have done this before. Let me switch for a second, as soon as I can get my... Okay. This switch is practically the same, almost the same size as this Insignia USB hub. I mean, it's about a little bit bigger, and it's roughly about the same height, give or take. I mean, the USB hub may be a little higher, but this isn't bad for a small one, and it's only 2.5 watts. This switch right here, I mean, granted, I understand that it's bigger, obviously, and it's also in a metal case because it has 8 gigabit ports. It's unmanageable because it's just a switch. That's all it does. It doesn't do any kind of management, VLANs, or anything of the kind. But you know, this thing's 5 watts. I mean, I would love to see a Flex Mini at roughly 2.5, 3 watts that will that gives you 8 ports, because that would be really nice. And they have TrendNet actually has a version 2.1R of this one, and that's actually what this one is. So actually this is 3.5 watts, because I just happened to look at the model underneath it, the version underneath it. So I mean, their original one was 5 watts. This one's 3.5, which isn't bad. So it's actually lighter, but this one's the lightest that I've seen, 2.5 watts. But yeah, I mean, that's not bad for as small as it is. So let's go back to this. Okay. So now that I have it adopted, what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect a laptop that I have to the switch, and show you that it's on those VLANs by those ports, because it's going to have a 192.168 40 dot something and a 50 dot something, because that's how I set up the VLANs. I set up as 50 and 40. There. It's been a while since I've touched this. There it is. Okay, so let's connect this one here, and we'll connect this other end, port 2. Just switching over so I can log in. I should create a dummy account for this kind of stuff. Alright. Alright, so now that I've finally logged in, I don't know how well I'll be able to do this. So let me, should be able to increase the size of this maybe. Yeah, I can zoom in. Alright. Alright. I would have captured the screen if my capture card would work, and it doesn't, and ugh. Anyways. And I don't remember. Let's see. Oh, I don't know why I did it that way. I forgot I can edit the connections and get the connection information. Okay, so I'm not sure how well this is gonna. See, I might take a screenshot of it. See if I can blow it up in. Print screen. Save. All right. Okay, so let's see. All right. So as you can see right here, or hopefully you can. See if I can increase it anymore. Okay, because I'm looking at it over here on this other screen, this portable monitor I have OBS Studio on, and as you can see, okay, it's getting a 192.168.40.65. Now this is not my main IP address, it's hidden behind. This is just a VLAN that's totally separate from my main network. Anything that's about the main network, IP address wise, anything that would risk my security will be blurred out when the video is posted. And you'll see it before I even mention it because things will be blurred out. But as you can tell here, that, you know, it has a 192.168.40.65. The broadcast IP address is this. Here's its subnet. This is the default route. And then these are the primary DNS. Because this is my IoT device network. This is where I keep my Alexa and a few other things. And, you know, like I said, it's a separate VLAN. And, you know, you're not going to find the actual main IP address because I'm not displaying it. But that's basically, you know, what you should do, especially if you have Internet of Things devices, because they're not always the securest. You want to keep those off of that, which basically everything should be on a network like that, because really nothing's secure. No OS is totally 100% secure. Nothing is perfect. Everything is flawed because everything's made by flawed beings, you know, but that's beside the point. But that's that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to escape out of this, close that, move that up, close this, and that. And what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to unplug it from port 2 and then plug it into port 3. And it didn't disconnect, so just hang on 1 second. Okay, now that it disconnected, finally. This machine's old. It's way older than some of the other ones I have. Okay, there we go. Alright, it's established a connection. Connection information. Okay, let's print screen that. We'll save it. Although it's really weird that the 50 has it. But anyways, must be the way I set it up in pfSense to handle the IP addressing scheme. I'll have to look at that because that doesn't make sense. But, what do I know? I don't remember how I have things set, because once I have it set, I totally block it out of my mind. Oh, that's right. It's right here. So here's the newest. And full screen. I will give this credit. You can actually zoom in a good bit. Okay. So now, as you can tell, that now, because I've separated, I put those two ports on two separate VLANs, okay, they no longer will see each other. It's not like they can communicate with each other, because I have the rules set up in pfSense to not allow that crossing. So, and you can see that it has a 192.168.20.110. The broadcast IP address is 20.255. Subnet mask, default gateway, and then these are the Open DNS resolvers for internet requests. Because again, this one is the guest network for, you know, people that come over that have limited internet use. I also have the speed throttled on all those to 5 million bits per second, because IoT devices do not need that fast of a communication. Same way with their guest networks. It's enough to, you know, view Facebook messages and stuff like that. You might be able to do a little bit of videos, but, you know, it's not meant for you to do whole hog, you know, hey, I'm gonna just go gung-ho, because it's a guest network. It's like, you know, no, if they want to check their messages or, you know, look at whatever on Facebook, and it's enough to scroll through. I've been connected to it. My wife's Chromebook, since she's been home because of the whole, you know, pandemic. It's been running fine for 5 million bits per second. So she hasn't had any issues with it. But that's the whole purpose behind that, because so this way, like I said, if you want to be nice, want to set up a guest network by using a Unifi access point and everything, that way, and if you set the, especially if you use pfSense, if you set the rules right, the guest network cannot access your main LAN. I don't want my IoT devices connected to my main network, all because it doesn't need to, because if any of those devices get hacked, okay, fine. What's the worst thing they can do? Not much. I mean, they can turn up my heat, turn down my heat, turn up the AC, turn down the AC. They can turn off the AC. But they can't get at my computers, my servers, or anything of the kind, because of the fact is that they are on their own separate VLAN and they can't be connected. I'm not saying that there probably isn't a flaw out there so far that would allow that, no matter what you have set, but at least I took the safety precautions of separating that kind of stuff. But as you can tell, using Unifi is real simple, from, you know, adopting it to setting it up. As you can tell over here, you know, this is the port that connects to the main switch. Okay, it says uplink to Coruscant main switch. And then this here, it says to Wi-Fi guest network. This one here would be to Gary's IoT devices. And then these ones here would actually go, you know, it could handle sending, because basically when it's set to all is that it will send all traffic regardless of VLAN. So, you know, these ports, like if I would connect this port to another switch, all VLANs like here's where you can give your site a name, and let me close this here. Don't need that. You can set the time zone, where it's located, enable LED status, screen brightness. Here's where you can set up your wireless networks, which I'll blot out all these. And then here's where you can set your VLANs only. And I don't have a USG security gateway. But for this here, let's see, for the networks, okay, say I was going to create a new network. Okay, and I can list it as either corporate, guest, WAN, VLAN only, which is what you normally would do. So if you, like, I'm just going to say, grab my keyboard because I moved it. Alright, I'm going to say test network. Okay, and then you can give it a VLAN number. I'll just use 30. Okay. And then save. Okay, and as you can see here, now there's the test wireless network, VLAN only, and it's 30. So then I would have to go into my Proxmox, I mean not Proxmox, my pfSense, and set up a VLAN there to match that, and then give it a DHCP range of 192.168.30.1 through this, and that way it'll hand out IP addresses, and anything that connects to that test wireless network will get those IP address range. It'll get whatever DNS server I set up, like if I use the Google servers ones or the OpenDNS or any of the other ones, which I need to look into maybe signing up for maybe some free accounts to help block a lot of stupid crap. But you know, that's the way you can do it, and then you can segment your network from it, so that way, again, if you have risky devices, because like I said, I trust Amazon Alexa about as far as I can throw it. I have some wireless plugs to turn my lights on and off that I have set on a specific timer. Those are on that same VLAN, the IoT devices. And then that way, you know, again, you're segmenting your network, which is what you want to do. I mean, let's just, if you don't care about it, to be honest with you, you know, because it's like if you want everything on the same network so everything sees each other and stuff, don't bother with buying these switches. These are managed switches. Just go buy, you know, TrendNet's unmanaged, or any manufacturer's unmanaged switches, because if you're just going to have everything on one network, there's no point in spending this kind of money setting up this kind of VLAN. But if you're wanting to segment it so that, you know, all these devices talk to each other and are separate from your main, because it's like anything else. Your security is only as strong as your weakest link. If you have good passwords on your computers and other devices, but you have, you know, the IoT camera, like the Ring camera, how it was flawed, and, you know, it could allow people to hack into it. If somebody hacks into that Ring camera, you don't want it on your main network. If you have it on a separate network, yes, they can still get in, and as the video showed online, they can talk to your child, especially if you, well, I don't know why you would put it in their bedroom. That's crazy, but that's a whole other subject. But if you have it in your device, like let's say for some reason you have it in the living room to watch it, do you want somebody able to watch you in the living room? I wouldn't. But again, that's a different subject. I don't know why I digressed to that. But you know, wherever you would have those kind of cameras like that Ring, you don't want it on your main network, because not only can they see you, but once they're on the network like that, they can look at your computers, you know, by packet sniffing and stuff like that on your actual network. They can find any device. If you have like one of those NAS or one of those external hard drives that you can plug into your network to back your files up, but if you have no security on it, they have access to all your photos, any of your private files, like tax returns, if you save PDF versions of your when you pay bills online, and you know, you get that confirmation and you save that confirmation as a PDF onto that, they have access to all that. With that camera now on a separate VLAN, yes, they can see you, but they can't get access to any files, because those devices, that 2-drive NAS, or, you know, that cloud book from Western Digital, or any device, any kind of external hard drive that you have connected to your network, okay, of some type, for, you know, storing stuff off of your main computer so it's in one location, that's now isolated from that camera, and if it gets hacked into, they're not going to get access to it. That's why I have the IoT device network. Anything like that goes on there. It does not stay on my main network, so that way, if those get hacked, they don't have access to my servers. They don't have access to my computers. They don't have access to anything. It's security. It's like I said, I'm not saying it's 100% foolproof, because if you don't set it up right, yeah, to be honest with you, that'll happen, you know. So okay, so again, this little switch is really nice. I'm going to disconnect it. It's really small, really capable. Has a reset button on the back here. Right there, next to my finger. See, it says reset. Has a little rubber bumper to set on the table so it doesn't slide. All in all, it's not a bad little device. If you have a power over Ethernet switch, definitely use this. I know I have a power over Ethernet switch right now in my rack. The only thing is it's a 10100, and this is gigabit. I'd rather keep gigabit devices on gigabit, unless if I'm going to plug in a bunch of 10100s, then I wouldn't care if this gets connected to it or not. But yeah, not bad price. 29 bucks for the switch through Ubiquiti. Their site is UBNT. I'll leave a link to this actual switch in their store in the video description below. But yeah, it's 29. It's either 29 even or 20. I think it's 29. Yeah, it's 29 even. It was $8.80 shipping. I got it in a couple of days. And like I said, other than whatever taxes that your state would have to collect, like I said, around 40 bucks. It's definitely cheaper. Let me go back to the desktop, the screen here. I mean, unless you have an account and can get a discount through Newegg. Let's see what that comes up with. Yeah, here it is right here. Yeah, see, it's $58. I know you get free shipping, but that's a lot of money to pay whenever it's like $40 and some change, because it was like it's $29, $8.80 for shipping, and then it, like I said, whatever taxes. So you figure around 40 bucks. I mean, you're saving like around $18 depending. I didn't do the exact math, but just from remembering what I paid for it and what this is showing, I mean, that's a tad bit expensive, you know, for such a little switch. So all in all, like I said, it's not a bad switch. As you saw, it's really configurable. And if you just need like 5 ports and nothing else, you know, like no more than that, because like I said, if you're gonna, you know, have it upstairs connecting a few devices to one cable, and if you can run it power over Ethernet, you know, you don't even need to use the included adapter. I mean, I know I'm going to use this somewhere, I just don't know where. But yeah, like I said, for as small as it is, as light as it is, I mean, with the little power supply, it's not that bad. I definitely highly recommend it. Especially if this is like your first, if you want to play around with this and you don't want to spend any money on the large switches, this switch is definitely the first switch to go. I mean, when I saw the introduction of these with Ubiquiti stuff, when I was looking at new access points, and I like I said, I always watch the Lawrence Systems videos, because he goes into a lot more in depth, because, you know, he does it for a living, as he owns the company, so he likes playing around with it. Where I work, I'm a help desk technician. I can't really experiment with this kind of stuff at work, because, you know, my company buys specific things. Cisco, Meraki. Ugh. Anyways, But that's how I got interested in it, and that's why when my one switch, which is sitting on the floor, if you look at my home network video, it's the giant Force 10 switch. Some of the ports were kind of shaky. I don't know if that was bad cabling, but I mean, I had like a few ports doing it, and I can't believe all the cables that I mean, I can see a couple cables because I make my own long cables, although I am going to switch the ones that loop from the patch panel to the switch with actual created ones. I'm going to order some of those from Monoprice and switch those out. But I make my own cables, and I can understand, I can see maybe one or two, maybe three, but it was happening a little too often. Once I switched the switch, it was fine. So I don't know if the ports are just going bad because it's a used switch. And yes, you do get what you pay for when you buy used. I'm not going to sit here and say used is perfect, it's better than new. No. Your percentage of things going wrong with used over new is a little higher. But again, sometimes you can find some diamonds in the rough. I mean, I bought all those Dell switches, the 410, the 420, and the 710, that do most of the heavy lifting on my network, reasonably priced on eBay, and they've been working fine. But this is perfect. Like I said, if you're going to run one cable to your living room but you need multiple ports, I definitely look into this. If your main switch is power over Ethernet, that saves you from connecting that, so you save a power plug and a strip or whatever by not having to do that with this. But definitely I would recommend this. This is your cheap way in to experiment and play around with Ubiquiti software, like their Unifi controller software. Definitely run it as a VM, or if you have a spare machine that you can leave running all the time. I haven't tried shutting my VM down and seeing if things stop, just because I just don't want to take that chance. It's kind of conflicting, where I've seen stuff say, yeah, you just need it to configure it, and then after that, that's it. And then I've seen where people go, yeah, it just stopped working after a while. So, you can experiment with that. I leave mine running because I have virtual machines that run on those servers over there all the time. So for me, if I'm already drawing power because that stuff's running all the time, may as well leave the VM running. But other than that, cheap switch. So far, like I said, just playing with it just now because I got it a couple of days ago. Like I said, it's a really nice switch. I like Ubiquiti stuff. I'm looking forward to when all this craziness goes down, prices go back down, and Newegg can actually get the Gen 2 of that 48 port. And when I get the money saved up, I'm going to buy it to replace that, because they just now released firmware and the controller software that I just updated to give those Gen 2 layer 3 capabilities, which is nice because then I can set up interoperative VLAN routing internal to the switch and may not have to use as much pfSense. So it'll take time to learn all that once I get it switched. I'll still keep that switch as a backup switch just in case if things go nuts and it breaks, or I could just add it to it and I can use it as the test setup. Set up a small rack on the floor, maybe slide that one over a little bit, and set up a small rack on the floor and have that as my demo test stuff. Who knows? Okay, so I've rambled on long enough. And like I said, if you want to get into Ubiquiti, that's definitely the route to go. Buy the Flex Mini, get the software, set it up, play around with it, try it out, see what you think. And as at the end, I always like to say, have a good day.